it's another pathway of assisting us in resurrecting our eyesight, and and also so much more. I mean, it's igniting a lot of the hidden or forgotten or unrecognized, unilluminated, if you will, crystalline pathways of a lot of extrasensory abilities, etc. And also starting to highlight and show us where the gaps are in separation, if you will, between sight, sound, sight, hearing, taste, smell, feeling.
And the separation in the elements within us.
Mm-hmm.
I just got they want to all unite together within.
So
Yeah.
beautiful that you recognize that, Kathleen, because one thing that has been very evident, and it's beginning to reveal itself more and more through these practices in all sorts of ways, right, is that when one, and this triggers a lot of people. So when one comes into full dominion, which is not a warring frequency, it's not a I own you, I'm over you. Like true dominion, as was shown and has been shown many times by the Christos, is a powerful union point where all parties or all frequencies involved come to a place of connection and unity and collective, and cohesive intention, met by the power and the strength of each participating energy. So that said, when one embodies full dominion of the unified connection with earth, air, fire, water, ether, diamond, blue plasma, we're walking on water. We're doing things of these types of magical nature that seem far-fetched to many. But that's what takes place. We're parting the waves because we no longer view ourselves as separate then. We've become so one with the elements that we are in the unified field that it's not a matter of I am, it's a we are, and here we go type of thing. So of course, most profoundly is our ability to recognize that, embody that, and participate that within our own physical, mental, emotional, and spirit bodies. Because when we get to that place of harmonization, we're at a pretty we're at a pretty good position within our desire to fully embody our I am presence. So these breaths in this system are just yet another pathway of creating that harmonic and that balance. And so another thing that wants to come in with this is that, the purification, the fasting, all of these different things. With the purification practices and the cleansing practices, albeit our thinking minds, our egoic minds, and all layers and levels of societal programming are coming to the forefront of participation and resistance. And I'm like, come on in, because, the more and more, Stephen and I were just talking about it, coming out of this 3-day fast, there's such a massive evolution that's taking place in every single one of these journeys of purification, of greater witnessing of the but also I'm beginning to feel it and embody it and see how that clears the pathways of distortion, which allows us the level of clarity to be able to come into these higher, more exalted states of embodiment, right? So it's not to say that, and maybe it is, I don't know, who knows? We all have our own unique paved blueprint and path within this. And yet there is a very clear awareness to the profundity of deeper clearing and cleansing of our cellular structure, and just how significant the physical temple plays a role in this, which is why for a long time now, every time I say ascension, I hear coming in at the same time ascension, right? It's like taking the physical body and all of its cells on this journey so that we can embody our heaven on earth, over soul embodied, right? Because as we know, there is no heaven outside of the heaven is here, and it's the remembrance of that, it's the igniting of that, and it's the and the embodiment of that. So we know this, and yet it feels like it wants to come in, and be shared, time and time again, because as we also know, the programs, AKA protectors of our sleep state, help, to dilute the awarenesses, right? They dilute over time, and, with, playing around with them and participating in different ways, that wisdom, that truth, that recognition or revelation becomes diluted. The more we're participating unconsciously, through different practices and programs and life itself, the more diluted, the sacred waters within become, right? The more diluted, the greater awarenesses and clarity of who we are and why we're here.
I just so love what you're saying. And I had never connected the purification of my body with like bodies of water, or the elemental world. And you're just reconfirming. I was listening to Pam Gregory. She was interviewing this guy, Randy Hayton, and he was talking, all he kept saying is we need to be purifying right now, because he's doing all this work purifying water, right? And you can send him water from certain places and but he said, what's really being asked is just what you're saying, that we purify our inner waters, because that is sustaining and supporting the, the out waters. And then you start, like, when you, like, I'm getting like, oh, we are really connected. We are really one. What I do does make a difference to the air, the earth, the water, the tree,
Absolutely.
all of it.
Every breath that comes. So yes, we hear it, but then like there are certain times, such as now and through the initiation in which we've all endeavored up until this point and moving forward, it becomes more of an embodiment. It becomes more of like a aha, like a aha moment, I like to call them, because it's like, as in, I've heard this a million times, and as in now I feel it and I'm embodying it and I know it in a whole different type of way. And we are elements, our bones, our blood, our flesh are the elements. Our mental, emotional, and spirit bodies are part of the elemental system as well. Light, plasma, right? The ether. So we are a complete system here. I mean, we are eternal source seeds, eternal source light, coming in and animating a complete system of the elements. And so it's been so washed away and distorted, and we're so taken out of it, right? Even like the food system, getting further and further and further away from truly even being food, right? And being the elements. So huge revelations come when we recognize, like, whoa, hold on a second. I'm not separate of my physical body. I'm not separate of any of my bodies. And this ascension cycle is largely determined by the degree in which I come back into the revelation, recognition, and embodiment. Then I am the unified field of the elements of earth, air, fire, water, ether, diamond, blue plasma. And I was shown there are actually 12 elements, and they're coming back through the evolutionary path of Gaia and humanity. They're coming back into our awareness. And I feel as though one might share its greater presence with us moving into 2024. And yet I'm not being shown anything else. So yes, so every breath we take goes in, interfaces our entire hologram of every subconscious and conscious program, every light, every filament of activated, every filament that is dormant, everything that's within our hologram. That breath comes in, instantaneously is programmed, and then goes back out and shares it within the unified field of all. The earth receives that breath. All humans receive that breath. So it is the breath of life, right? It is the breath of source. It is, it carries the codes of each one of us. So these are this is our internet system. This is our Wi-Fi, if you will. So the same with our water. What we pee out, it's coming through, it's making its way through, and it's going out back into the bodies of water. So everybody's urine is additionally, holding the codes of their emotional, mental, physical, and spirit body.
So
The
Brooklyn,
earth. Da, 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 da,
that's,
da.
yeah, that's why, like, I'm just connecting sacred breath when we're doing all of our practices. We're actually, the breath is actually coming out and transmuting what it is that we're intending. And I've never seen it go out that way.
Yeah.
I always think it's like an energetic something, but now I'm getting like the particle. We're in training, encoding the breath with these practices that we're saying, and it's going back out into, wow. Wow.
Breath plus intention equals profound miracles for not only ourself and ourselves, but all others. And one might say, well, why am I going to send my exhale out of all my inner crap? It doesn't work like that. The breath is a multi-dimensional, multiversal, unifying field of pure source consciousness, pure codes. It shows up in different forms on different planetary systems and star systems and systems of creation, and here it shows up as it does. And so as we come in and we release, the more we're in the 0 point, the more we're in the presence, and the more we're connected with our intention, that powers up that breath and sends it out, right? Sends out those light codes, sends out. So even in the day to day, not even talking about the practices of breath, even if we were to come into a place of greater participation and just out of fun and curiosity, what would it be like if I had a practice of really being aware of every breath I take? Well, several things would take place in this. And interestingly, that we're having this conversation right now, because Stephen and I were just having a conversation, and he shared about how Seti Guru, who we've all come to know through Stephen, talks about when you reach a certain state of embodiment or enlightenment, and this is not verbatim, so I know you'll just take what I'm saying from this. One recognizes that they're only taking about 3 or 4 breaths in any given moment's time, but not efforted, but organically so. So think about that. If one were to take, and say, okay, and the thinking mind immediately comes in, oh, I don't have time for that. I have so much things to do. How am I going to do that? Blah, blah, blah. All right, well, sure, thinking mind, yeah. But if we were to even take an hour, or even take 20 minutes, or even take 10 minutes, and start building it up, and bring our awareness, because it instantaneously brings you into the 0 point. It instantaneously brings you into the now moment, into greater presence. It downregulates your nervous system. It powers up your light. It grounds you into your body, right? So even if we were to take, 10 minutes, a half an hour, an hour, a few hours out of a day, and direct our awareness to each and every breath we're taking in and out, and and to what degree of presence we have in that breath, that in and of itself is a deep cellular and solar training and mastery, in flow, right? Because now, again, it's just another way of creating deeper embodiment, but it's also, in full transparency, have only done it for probably like 10 or 15 minutes at a time, but you can see and experience really profound things in doing so. And it might be fun if you feel like there's a day where you're really wanting to go in deep and really wanting to just go in to sit with all the breaths you take. through the day, right? And just to see, because as soon as you bring your conscious awareness to it, being that we all do so many practices of meditation and breath, as soon as you bring your conscious awareness, it's so easy. It's easy to take one breath in a minute. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, like, do we even need, maybe we just do it every other minute, but so when you're consciously participating in it, it's it's different, but yet that's how we often transition from a belief system, one belief system that's no longer serving us, to a belief system in which we, really is in sync with our blueprint, right? Is to consciously participate. And then eventually, like Madeline was sharing with us, she reached a profound state of awareness and embodiment, whereby she recognized in what felt like maybe an argument or a disagreement, she became the witnessing presence. And from the position of the witnessing presence, she was able to create greater alchemy, greater spaciousness, and sort of create a greater space of diffusing what was perhaps in the lineage of a warring frequency, and come back into a place of, okay, there's just a couple different things at play here, right? So the same kind of thing. She didn't organically just pop into this. She brought her conscious attention and focus into desiring to participate in this way. She, diligently kept showing up, in different ways of being present, of connecting and identifying a source, and the witnessing presence. And then it starts to just take place, right? It starts to just happen. And then we see that it's happening and we get excited, we celebrate it, and then it happens even more, and you're on a fast trajectory. So bringing in a practice of that, being with the breath. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can consciously participate in breathing only 3 times within a minute's time. And I'm gonna, and the more we show up to do that, and the more curious we get with it, then the more it starts to activate and resonate and become the way in which we breathe, right? So it's exciting. We're coming full circle to the elements. I'm excited that all of this co-creation and communication is taking place in it, because it makes sense that it would. And as the breath of air, the breath of earth comes in, and then the breath of ether, I feel like, so, and I also see the divine perfection in, why the breath of water comes in now. Like Jeannie's saying, we're entering into this really epic system. Every system that we're in is epic, but it's like, and there's more, right? Like every system that comes through feels like it's another, level and expression of epic, right? And Jeannie so beautifully brought forth in her intuitive wisdom and mastery, surrender, it's a time of massive tasks and creational energies and things coming up to meet us at the forefront of participation, and all of us, uniquely so. And what is it? What are the 2 main ingredients in this recipe that are, pulsating as the invitation? Surrender and trust. Surrender and trust, right? So water, as we know, surrenders and trusts. Someone throws a giant boulder in the river, surrenders and trusts. Goes around, that is a beautiful physical expression of how it just shows up in its highest form of immaculate devotion to all. And as a boulder or a stone or a dam brings forth its presence, it finds its pathways of devotion. It finds its pathways of service. It remains unwavering and who it is and why it's here, right? So, I'm excited to see how these this our ever-evolving and present system of the resurrectional codex that comes forth in way of all that we share here together, but certainly the practices and the breaths and so forth continue to express to us in deeper knowing and deeper embodiment, that we are one with the elements, right? We are one as Sophia Gaia. We are the micro of the macro of Mother Earth, right? What I would ask that invite everybody to do in this now moment is to really drop into our heart centers and come into a place of, I am open to receiving the divine grace and awareness of who I am and why I'm here. And just taking a few breaths and really dropping into a spaciousness within our heart centers. Into that place of letting go of boundaries, of receiving, and letting go of any programs that we've put in place as the protectors of our heart. Knowing that our hearts need no protection. Our hearts are an omnipotent, omniversal system of pure source resonance, pure source love, awaiting our greatest awareness, awaiting our greatest activation, awaiting our greatest invitation that exists and always has within. So taking a few breaths, feeling and expanding our hearts, expanding that light within, allowing it to illuminate all the spaces and places within our physical, mental, emotional, and spirit bodies that feel like they might be tight or closed or tender or vulnerable. And allowing us to nourish it with the source light in which we are. And as we do so, allowing ourselves to dissolve all systems that are on the forefront of our awareness, or perhaps hiding in the shadows of fear within, all those programs of unworthiness, not enough, fear, judgment, competition, and letting them melt away. Seeing them for the illusions that they are, seeing them as the gurus that they are, and allowing them to melt away. As we allow them to melt away, we further access the embodied knowing of the truest nature of the infinite overflowing chalice of divine love that each and every one of us are. Limitless. Limitless in our abilities to embody, be, share, ignite, express unconditional love to self and others. Love without any restraint, any condition, any places and spaces within the love that feel anything but free-flowing. Let it go. Release it. Feel it. I am worthy. I am enough. I am source love. I am worthy. I am enough. I am source love. I am worthy. I am enough. I am source love. Expanding, feeling, witnessing the illumination of your own radiant diamond heart, flowing, expanding, nourishing. Within this field, you feel, know, see, trust, surrender. I am Immaculate Divine Mother. I am Immaculate Divine Father. I am Immaculate Divine Child. I am the resurrection of the full union, the full trinity of life force energy flowing in the radiance of my most exalted source, light and sound, codex. I am. And as you're bathing, receiving, nourishing, coming home, feeling the sense of familiarity, so familiar perhaps that there is no distinction of this energy that is showering from within your heart up and through and all around, because this is you and always has been, awaiting your remembrance, awaiting your embrace, awaiting for you to receive, to open, to allow. And as you find yourself floating and bathing in the spaciousness and the glory and the support of your own radiant eternal heart light, supported and nourished by the immaculate flame of Christos love flowing all throughout and around, further assisting the remembrance and the revelation of the love of pure, unconditional source codex. You are feeling it, allowing it, celebrating, expanding. And within the center of this experience comes through a message. What has been shared, channeled, co-created through our portal of resurrection together here today is a symphony of all of our highest source selves and oversouls coming together to orchestrate a transmission for ourselves, a transmission for all. Yes, there is one who brought forth the words and the systems to activate, to express, to ground into our experience the transmission. And yet together we all co-created this. Together as a system of pure Christos light, we have co-created all that has streamed through in this experience together. Allowing ourselves to feel into where we might be able to receive that with unconditional self-love, trust, surrender, deep knowing, beyond any and all limitations and imprints of separation that flow from the thinking mind. Feel what it feels like to receive this as truth, and feel what it feels like to receive this or to not receive this with resistance from the thinking mind. Taking some moments here to feel into this. Remembering that she who channeled the transmission is one whom is capable of interpreting the quantum field within any given space or portal or person or being. And so it's always a co-creation. It's always the sum total of the consciousness field that is formed within any interaction. Feeling, allowing, and trusting on a greater bandwidth of awareness, and celebrating in your contribution to the system of light. It is in the acceptance, to whatever degree one chooses, that further expands the unifying field of one, that further dissolves the veils of separation, that further creates the deepest connection of divine union within any relationship or exchange. Divine union is not only for romantic partnership. Divine union can be experienced and expressed, and desires to be experienced and expressed through each and every relationship, through each and every friendship, through each and every exchange. That is the truest nature of the unified field of consciousness, being completely in love with ourselves as source and completely in love with each and every other unique individuation as source. Feeling, bathing, allowing, receiving, expanding, nourishing, supporting. I am. I am source. I am. I am source. I am. I am source. I am. Feeling ourselves now coming back into a sense of greater physicality and really beginning to ground ourselves fully into our physical bodies here and now. Feeling ourselves supported by the central column of all that is, the purest and highest calm of pure source, radiant light and sound, flowing from the highest connection point to the creational field of all that is, down and through and all around all of our bodies. Physical, mental, emotional, spirit as a one, flowing down and through, assisting in the further opening, expanding, receiving, igniting, moving down and through our bodies, down and through our feet, rooting us, grounding us, connecting us to the central crystal earth star core, the micro of the macro of the central sun of all that is, pure, nourishing field of source, light, love, connection. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Coming back gracefully when you feel called and ready.